This is a giant video. Please use the table of contents to direct yourself to wherever you feel you need to be. In the recent This Week at Bungie newsletter, they said, "We're aware of feedback about other abilities and gear not mentioned above. We have our eye on One-Eyed Mask. Expect a change in a future update." The community reception of this seemed to be very positive, but there were a few who said,
"Titans are dead. Why would I play another subclass without wall hacks, getting my health back and overshield, extra damage, and I can do it every single gunfight and play really aggressive? Why can't I do that? Man, this is stupid that Mask is getting nerfed."
In today's video, for the first time ever on my channel, I am going to teach you how to actually use the Titan class. In Destiny, there are three classes, the Hunter, Warlock, and Titan. When One-Eyed Mask is in play, I think Titan is vastly superior to the other two, but when Mask is balanced or not used at all, I think they're actually pretty equal. With that being said, let's move on to the guide. You'll be learning Titan basics, advanced techniques, and some builds to get you started. I'm going to go over the basics in a live commentary format, so forgive me if I make any small mistakes. If you already main a Titan and feel like you know everything about him, I still think you should stay because you might learn something new. I'm going to be using Code of the Fireforge, that is Top Tree Sunbreaker, as my example build. The melee is pretty straightforward. That's its shoulder charge. By sprinting, you prime it, and then hitting the melee button will charge you forward. This will one-shot your opponent. You can use it in the air, you can even use it out of a slide, which we will be taking advantage of in the advanced techniques section. One of the reasons you would play Titan is either its jump or its class ability. We'll start with the class ability. This is Towering Barricade. It shoots you in third person as you throw up this barricade, and you can see through it. So if there was a sniper across this hall, he wouldn't be able to kill you unless he puts 2 sniper shots into this barricade to break it. So if you want to fight the sniper, you could just jump over and shoot him, or stand to the right and shoot him, or walk through it and shoot him. If the sniper was to walk through this barricade, they would take a lot of damage, but they would not die. So it would get them down to exactly 1 health left, which means they'll die to pretty much anything. While I'm waiting for the barricade to recharge, I'll talk about the grenade. This is a pretty straightforward grenade. It'll bounce off the wall and detonate wherever it lands. Excellent. For this grenade in particular, if they get damaged by it, they burn. And you can take advantage of that with Bottom Tree Sunbreaker, but we'll talk about that when we get to Titan builds. For now, it's just a basic grenade. The Rally Barricade is the other class ability option, and this one's really special because it has a raised edge. Might not seem like a lot to write home about, but that raised edge really matters when fighting against snipers. So if I aim down sights right here, it'll try to automatically jump my character, but if I take a step back, I can aim down sights without that automatic feature happening. So I can activate the crouch on my own accord, which means I can probably hit people without getting sniped. The final thing to talk about is the jump ability. I prefer Catapult because it has a good mix of vertical and horizontal movement. High jump is mostly just vertical, and strafe lift is just horizontal. So I will show you this example. Let's say you're fighting somebody along the edge of a cliff. You're strafing and you accidentally fall off. Oh no, with Catapult jump, you can make it back on. Or if there's like a super chasing you or something and you want to stall off the map, you can do that with Catapult. The best way to think of Catapult jump is Walmart's Hunter jump. It is just a very generic version of Hunter jump. You get 2 of them. Finally, the super. Very basic super. You throw hammers, hammers explode. Now moving on to advanced techniques. We are going to learn to quick draw on the ground. So I am aiming down sights. I am about to sprint and swap to my shotgun. I will shoot both weapons now. Same thing. Going to shoot, sprint, and swap to my shotgun and shoot again. You can also do this with your jump. By activating the jump as you swap, it will swap instantly. Same thing. I know this sounds super simple. It is. Don't overthink this. Give it a shot. It works on controller, it works on console. Let's go over another advanced technique where we take advantage of our shoulder charge. We're going to be sliding, shooting, and then shoulder charging into cover. Imagine there is a sniper across this hall. perfect safety. There are a lot of advanced techniques that are more specific to the subclasses, but I can still think of some generic ones. Like for instance, let's say you need to reload, but you also need to make it to B flag, the center of the map. How do you get there the fastest and reload? Well, the naive answer would be to walk towards it and just reload, but that's kind of slow. We can do it faster. What we can do is sprint and use our jump ability to finish the reload animation while keeping that forward sprint speed, like this. Just marginally faster, but that stuff does add up in the Crucible. Switching back to post-commentary now, I'm going to talk about one of the most effective Titan techniques, which is using the barricade offensively instead of defensively. As I just said a few minutes ago, if your opponent walks through a barricade, they take damage until they're at 1 health. They're also slowed down. You can use this to damage your opponent through walls and take away overshields and slow down supers. An example of a subclass specific advanced technique would be using the Bubble Titan, that is Top Tree Sentinel Titan, to throw a bubble near a raised edge and then stand on top of that raised edge so that you're barely sticking out of the bubble. By doing this, you keep the Armor of Light benefit while also being able to shoot out of it. By bouncing grenades off walls, ceilings, and other surfaces, you can be more precise with your grenades. You can also delay the time till detonation so that by the time the grenade explodes, you're already putting in a shot with a sniper rifle or a primary. Even all the way back in Destiny 1, I was still using and abusing advanced techniques, making them my bread and butter. Now, I don't even have to think about using them. What this translates to in-game is that I use a Titan every single season in the competitive playlist. From 0 rank all the way to 5500, from Season 3 to the current season, I used a Titan. As far as the remaining advanced techniques go, most of them are subclass specific, so I'm going to start talking about some starter pack builds that you can use moving on in Shadowkeep.
Oh my god, you're the best!
Put a couple shots in patio and then we kill entry.
Okay.
Oh. I'm about to get biosynth through the door. What you're seeing in the background is a build comprised of the Syntho exotic gauntlets combined with the middle tree striker titan, which has an ability called Ballistic Slam, which hurls yourself like a missile towards your opponents. The problem with that is normally it doesn't do enough damage to completely one-shot your opponent, but by using Syntho, specifically a perk called Biotic Enhancements, which only activates when you're surrounded by 3 or more enemies, will your melee damage be buffed enough so that you can one-shot a group of 3 or more. Keep in mind that Biotic Enhancements is duration based, so as long as you pass by 3 enemies at some point, you will have Biotic Enhancements active for a couple extra seconds. By using this build well, you can condition your opponents to stand away from each other, which is crippling for some team compositions. This build is pretty straightforward. What I first do is I use the Antaeus Ward exotic boots to help build up my super energy. By sliding around and reflecting projectiles while just playing normally, I will get my super a little bit faster than everyone else. When I'm at about 90% of my super, I switch from the Antaeus Wards to the Saint 14 helmet, which makes it so that my bubble is better by giving my teammates and myself Blessing of Light, or Overshields. The bubble, or Ward of Dawn as it's called in game, got buffed recently, so it provides not only Armor of Light, which is an overshield inside of the bubble, but also Weapons of Light, which is a damage boost when you leave the bubble. By combining the effects of Weapons of Light with a high impact sniper rifle, you can kill your opponents in one body shot. Since the bubble benefits your entire team, it's best used in high team size scenarios, like Iron Banner or Classic Mix. Fun fact, according to Bungie's data in Destiny 1, the team that brought the most bubbles typically won. Well, that's that. I will just no-scope anybody who walks around the corner. Any more takers?
Don't worry, I got this. Oh.
Don't worry, I got this.
Don't worry, I got this.
We both have one-shot nades, I guess, huh?
Yep. For this build, you're using the Inmost Light exotic chest piece. By using any ability, this could be your grenade, melee, or barricade, it empowers the other two. So if I throw a barricade, my fusion grenades will one-shot my opponents. And since I'm on Bottom Tree Sunbreaker, if I get a kill with one of my abilities, then it creates a sunspot. And if I walk over this sunspot, I have increased damage. Once again, by combining this with a high impact snipe, I can one-shot my opponent with a single body shot. The advanced technique to look out for this build is abusing third-person mechanics, and this is heavily frowned upon in the competitive community, so if you do this to people, don't be surprised if you get bagged or get the worst hate mail you've ever seen. The more tame version is to use your barricade to see third person, quickly move your mouse or controller around to tilt your camera so you can see around corners, giving you a better indication of where to throw your grenade. But to have third person all the time, you can simply pull out a sword hilt and learn to aim your grenade while third person. If you stand in a sunspot, your abilities charge faster, so if you're really good at picking up those one-shot sticky kills to create a sunspot, the cycle will continue and this build will be even better.
It's got a buff. Well, yeah, but jeez, I don't think.
Then we
it's
switch.
needed.
And now we go super.
I think that's perfectly fine if slow rate of fires get.
That was oddly timed.
It's not.
I'm about to do what's called a pro gamer move. Look at all this damage he's doing, and it's for naught.
What you're trying to accomplish with this build is you're using the Antaeus Ward exotic boots, which activate a small shield whenever you slide, so that while you charge up a fusion rifle, you're somewhat in safety. Some fusion rifles have a perk called Backup Plan, where if you switch to the fusion rifle, it charges extremely fast. So what you want to do with this build is use something with a shoulder charge. In this case, I'm using Top Tree Striker. I'm sprinting to activate the shoulder charge, I'm switching to the fusion, I'm sliding, then shooting the fusion, and then shoulder charging away. In the same way that Saint 14 build took advantage of Antaeus wards to build up a very fast super, this one uses Antaeus wards as the forefront of the build. So since you get a super early anyway, you might as well just switch to the stone face helmet, which is called Eternal Warrior, because it gives you an overshield in your super.
Yeah.
What's your IGN then?
Yours today.
Return that hero.
No.
Opponent
I mean, you'll know
claims
when
zone
it's me.
Zone A
but
captured.
Definitely not. I'm on. Oh, Burnout. I'm
B
sad.
captured. Zone advantage is yours.
He ran back into it.
2 down.
You don't.
Zone C captured. They
Don't kill him.
house and earth.
There we go. 40-second super. Let's do it.
Wait, you got it.
I'm gonna be honest, you're not gonna pull this off against competent opponents. This build is comprised of the exotic Doomfang Pauldron. These are gauntlets that when you use your melee ability to secure a kill, it gives you about somewhere in between 1/4 and 1/3 super energy. For the competitive playlist, these are one of the best Titan exotics because having a super early can certainly win a match on its own. I typically use a last word hand cannon or a fighting lion with this build, but to get the very, very fast super, you use the Monte Carlo exotic auto rifle. By getting a kill with this Monte Carlo, it recharges your melee ability, allowing you to proc the Doomfang again. You can get away with using the Monte Carlo with a shotgun, but I advise against it just because of the severe drop-off of the Monte Carlo. By comboing Monte Carlo with a sniper rifle, you can intentionally go for a body shot to clean up with the Monte Carlo, therefore giving you another melee ability charge. To make matters worse, once you have your super, you can switch to the Ursa Furiosa exotic gauntlets to then block with your Sentinel and recover some of your super energy. For enemies shooting you just somewhat during your super, you will get about 1/3 of your super energy back. In a typical competitive match, getting a third of your super back might as well win you the game, because your teammates at that point should also have a super, which if they use it successfully, will create Orbs of Light, which you can pick up, to then have another super to probably counter your opponents. I think it should be said that Ursa Furiosa is probably the most powerful Titan exotic, because by simply just wearing them, it forces your opponents to have a predictable reaction. They see Ursa Furiosa, and they don't shoot at your super. If they don't shoot at your super, you have free reign to use your super extremely effectively. If they do shoot at your super, well, they're essentially giving you 1/3 of your super back, which you're going to use to counter another super down the line, or just wipe people uncontested. So in other words, by simply using Ursa Furiosa, you screw your opponents no matter what decision they make.
Two down. Shacks must envy.
I'm going out tomorrow.
Hit him with the reflection.
That's two.
This build utilizes the Worm God Caress exotic gauntlets, which boost your melee damage after getting a melee kill, which is perfect for Middle Tree Sunbreaker, where you have access to a small throwing hammer. This hammer does just enough damage after a single melee kill to kill in one shot. A huge thank you for my clanmate Drewski, who provided me with footage because he mains this on his Titan. Whenever Drew plays Titan, this is the subclass, this is the build that comes out. It's worth mentioning to stay ahead of my comment section that any build involving Syntheseps or Worm God's Caress can also be substituted for Dune Marchers, which are exotic boots that after sprinting create this electrical charge where if people are near each other and you hit them with a melee, it chains lightning to everybody, resulting in some melee abilities being able to one-shot or kill entire groups.
A-flag's about to get lit.
That's two.
I recently covered this build in depth, but if I had to describe it really quickly, it takes advantage of the new Phoenix Cradle exotic boots, where if you create a sunspot, your teammates now can also take advantage of the sunspot. And Polaris Lance, an exotic scout rifle, can actually activate sunspots on a weapon burnout kill. In conclusion, I could talk about Titan builds all day, whether I'm talking about the fun ones, the ones that I would use in the competitive playlist, or the ones that I expect to be featured at the grand finals of a tournament somewhere. At the end of the day, all of these builds have existed, and they've been very effective, but not a single one of them has been more effective than just using One-Eyed Mask, and that's been the problem. I hope that something I mentioned in this video really resonates with you and inspires you to pick up Titan, but at the very least, this is the one takeaway I want you to leave this video with. You're going to encounter a lot of players in Destiny that think one class is superior to the others, whether it's Hunter, whether it's Warlock, or whether it's Titan. I play every class in the game. I feel that each class really does fill a role in the game, and that role at times, and dependent on the team strategy, can be powerful. So those players that think Titan is a weak class just simply have not mastered it. They haven't put in the time. They haven't learned any advanced techniques. They haven't played against good opponents to see what works and what doesn't. And most of all, I'm sorry if this one stings a little bit, they've never played Titan without easy mode, without training wheels on, without One-Eyed Mask. I'm not going to go too far on this tangent because I usually get caught up complaining about it. So instead, I'm going to say One-Eyed Mask was clearly designed as a PvP exotic. You don't see anybody in a world's first raid attempt throwing on One-Eyed Mask. It just doesn't happen. For an entire year, this exotic has reigned supreme in any playlist, not just a competitive playlist. People feel that they have to use this 24/7. I'm just not really understanding how this thing came to be from a design perspective. The information and mistake fixing potential of this exotic removes a lot of the depth of playing a first-person shooter, or the reasons to replay the game to get better at it. Of course, it's also long and far gone the most effective option, making it the only option in a lot of cases. Why would this intentionally be created so strong that it renders 99% of the sandbox useless? Why even design that other stuff to begin with? I'm not going to pretend that I know about game development. I don't want to be armchair developer. All I want to do is say this from the perspective of a fan and an enthusiast. I have put over 10,000 hours in this game specifically to PvP. Looking back, One-Eyed Mask was the biggest mistake regarding PvP. It's a shame that it took over a year for something so blatantly overpowered to even be considered for a nerf. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoy this game. I love Bungie, I love the world they created, and I love that Destiny is a mix of PvP and PvE where you can take some cool stuff, combine it for a very unique playstyle. I just hope that moving forward, Bungie uses the data from the dark times of One-Eyed Mass to really drive home the point that when the skill gap is so compressed, the game becomes extremely frustrating. With those lessons learned, it opens the floor to other discussions about other things that could also compress the skill gap, like Mountaintop, like Recluse, like the last word killing in 4 body shots, like the extremely high aim assist to sniper rifles, like the flinch factor on guns and high caliber rounds. I'll save those discussions for another day because I really could go on forever. I just hope that Bungie allows the player to have more agency in outplaying each other. That's when the game is the most fun. But I am just one person. I have my opinions. If you disagree with them, that's fine. Please do so in the comment section respectfully. Try to sway me with your own opinion, and maybe I'll learn something new. And the video's over. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the subscription. I appreciate you hitting that notification bell. I do have a NordVPN code if you need to get back online after getting DDoSed, or if you just want to watch some foreign films on Netflix or something. This video was quite the undertaking to finish, so excuse if you don't see any videos in the next few days, but if you do, it'll likely be extensions of my favorite Titan builds. Yeah, that's right, I didn't even talk about my favorite Titan builds. I'm saving those for commentaries.